This video is on FIF.1 domain and range. There are numerous words for both domain and range. We're going to start with domain. The most common that you've heard in science would be the independent variable. Domain is also the input, the x value, the cause, or the action. Range is the dependent variable, the output, the y value, the effect, or the consequence. Example number 1 is a real-world example. It's students measured temperature of the water at different depths in the lake. Students found that the temperature varied. So we're looking at here in our two variables, our temperature and depths. So one is going to be the independent and one is going to be the dependent. Well, if you know anything about water and depths, the temperature depends on the depth. So if temperature depends, the temperature is dependent, which would be the range. And the depth is independent and would be the domain. Let's get into some math examples. For the remaining examples, we're going to look at graphs and we're going to determine the domain and the range of the graphs. Example number 2 is a basic line with arrows on the end. That means that this line is going forever to the sides and forever up and forever down. If this is going to go on forever and ever, our domain is going to be all real numbers used with a double R. And our range is going to be used all real numbers because, again, it's going all the way up and all the way down. We're going to take this two-dimensional graph and break it into two one-dimensional graphs to help you see the x being the domain and the y being the range. I took away the y-axis and just left the x-axis here. And took away the x-axis here and made the y-axis. So what you do is you just look and you determine where this is on the number line. So I'm just going to draw it back to the x-axis here and here. So I find that x has to be between -3 and 4. So x is in the middle. And then x is greater than -3. It cannot equal -3 because this is not a filled-in circle. But it will equal 4 because it's a filled-in circle at 4. Same thing for y. So our y, we draw it back, and we see that it has 5. And we draw it back here, and we see that it's a -4. Y is in the middle. Then we have less than and less than symbols. It's going to equal 5, but it won't equal 4 because it's an open circle. So that means that the range is y is between -4 and 5, and the domain is x is between -3 and 4. Example number 4, we're going to keep in two-dimensional and just try and look at it from a one-dimensional angle. So domain, which is the x values, we're going to look at first. So the domain, we're looking across this x-axis, and it looks like it's starting at 0, but it's not touching 0. And there's an arrow on the end, meaning it's going to go on to the right forever. So x is greater than 0 for the domain. Range, we're looking at the y-axis, and it looks like it's starting at 2, and it's going to be going up forever, so y is greater than 2. It's your turn to try 2 of these 3 problems. The directions are to find the domain and the range.